I love Evocation wizards. And why wouldn't you? You get to add damage to all of your spells. Right, so start as a wizard at level 1. Make them how you want. Pick your spells. The majority of these spells are Evocation spells, but you find most of these from scrolls anyway. At level 2, we get a special subclass feature. So when you have like an area of effect spell, that is an Evocation spell, and this only applies to Evocation spells, then allies succeed on their saving throws and take no damage. So you can lob down, for example, a fireball wherever you want and you don't have to worry. But not every spell that does damage is an Evocation spell. For example, Cloud of Daggers is a conjuration spell, so the sculpt spells does not work with Cloud of Daggers. Interestingly, Gust of Wind is an Evocation spell though. Your cantrips will get empowered at some point, so even something like Poison Spray, which is usually not very good, is at least better with an Evocation wizard. I would suggest improving your intelligence as much as possible as you level up. I don't have all the spells here because Gale has learnt a lot of spells already from scrolls. I'm just respecing him. But I am trying to make sure that I pick the important Evocation spells such as Fireball and Lightning Bolt. At level 6, your subclass feature is called Potent Cantrip. So when a creature makes a saving throw against one of your cantrips, any cantrip, it doesn't have to be an Evocation one, they still take half the damage if they pass a saving throw but suffer no additional effects. So something like Acid Splash, which forces a saving throw, all of a sudden will automatically deal damage, not a lot, but it will be guaranteed damage at that point. So as you level up, do be on the lookout for these Evocation spells, such as Cone of Cold. And now at level 10, we get our third subclass feature. So you can add your intelligence modifier to damage rolls with any Evocation spell. Gale already knew Magic Missile. If you haven't got Magic Missile, make sure you pick it. If you go all the way to level 12 and want to get your third feat, there are three very good choices here. One is Dual Wielder, because this lets you dual wield any one-handed weapon, and so you can dual wield staves. And there are lots of magical staves out there, and you get one extra armor class if you are dual wielding. Alert is another very good feat. Gain a +5 bonus to initiative and can't be surprised. This lets you go first and wipe people out of the battle. Just destroy them because you're an Evocation wizard. And lastly, if you want to focus on a particular type of damage, let's say lightning or cold, you then ignore any resistances to that particular type of damage and you can't roll a 1. Now this doesn't apply to Magic Missile because force damage isn't here, but it's still a very good choice. But you pick whatever you want to do. I am going to go with Dual Wielder though. These Flaming Fist are going to model for us to show us how all of the Evocation subclass features work. So starting with the subclass feature we get at level 2, saying allies don't get hurt by Evocation area of effect spells essentially. We've got a Fireball. We can see that none of my party lights up or get lit up or highlighted, so when we cast,
Witnessed assaulting someone.
we can see none of us got hurt. Secondly, we have Potent Cantrip. So when a creature succeeds its saving throw, it still takes half the damage. I'm going to try and pick someone that might fail.
Witnessed assaulting someone.
They failed their saving throw. Oops. To try and show this off, I'm going to start using Acid Splash because actually I can affect multiple enemies. I do want to point out though that Acid Splash is a conjuration spell, not Evocation, so it will hurt allies. So you do have to be careful. Come on, I know there's one specific spot that will get all 3 of them. There we are.
You were witnessed assaulting someone.
Alright, Gale's too good at this. I need to lower his spell save DC, I think. I'll try again. I've taken off his hat. So spell saver's DC's gone down by 2. That's actually maybe too good. 55%, yeah, let's try that.
You were witnessed assaulting someone.
So I'll try again.
You were witnessed assaulting someone.
And again.
You were witnessed assaulting someone.
And again. That looks better.
Witnessed assaulting someone.
So we can see there we got 3d12 divided by 2. This +2 I'll talk about later. It's from a particular item. But the point here is cast a cantrip and did some damage. This probably goes best with Acid Splash in the right situation where you can hit multiple enemies at once. And it only applies to spells that force saving throws, so casting Firebolt won't get the same benefit. And lastly, the level 10 subclass ability that lets us add our intelligence modifier is very important because it does add a plus intelligence modifier. For Gale here, that's +5. it will apply the +5 to every single magic missile. Oops. I can't target apparently.
Assaulting someone.
So we can see up here, we had the 1d4 +1. That's from the spell itself. This +6 is from an item. We'll get to that soon. And then +5 intelligence modifier. So at a minimum, magic missile now deals, well, without the item, 7 damage. Doesn't sound like much, but it's guaranteed. And we can add many more additions to that, especially for something like a magic missile. I'm going to move on to the items I've got equipped next. So if you don't want any spoilers for items, then you're going to have to turn away now. So important items are Hood of the Weave and Robe of the Weave, because these add to your spell save DC directly. In fact, the Hood of the Weave is +2, which is absolutely awesome. We've got the Spell Might Gloves. These are basically bugged at the moment in a positive way for us. So when casting a spell that requires an attack roll, well, actually currently any spell you cast that deals damage deals an extra 1d8 damage. You do get a -5 penalty, so if there is an attack roll, then something like Firebolt would have that -5 penalty. But my magic missiles have been gaining an extra 1d8 damage, and they don't require an attack roll. If you're going to be dealing damage with one of the the elements, it's acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder, and you're going to be using your cantrips, you get to add your spellcasting modifier again to the damage dealt. Awesome. There are a few rings you can equip. This one here, this is kind of to try and debuff the enemy rather than damage. So when we are illuminated by a light source, we also inflict radiating orb, which means the enemies have -1 to attack rolls per turn remaining. And Gale casts light on his own staff. And one of the staffs he's got equipped right now is the Spell Sparkler. So when we deal damage with a spell or cantrip, we get 2 lightning charges. Awesome. And Marco Heshkir, if that's how you pronounce it, that comes from Sorcerer's Sundries. Actually, it comes from Ramazith's Tower. But one, it gives us an extra spell save, +1 bonus to spell save DC and attack rolls. Once per short rest, or once per long rest, sorry, we can cast the spell for free without using a spell slot. And then we get Kreska's Favor. This is absolutely amazing. Currently, I've got the lightning one equipped, crackling with Kreska's Lightning. So I have resistance to lightning damage. And again, lightning charges each time I deal damage. And I can cast these spells on the right, Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning once per short rest for free. Once per short rest, you can also change which element has been picked. So go with whichever element you find thematic or you want to deal damage with. The other ring I've got on is the Ring of Mental Inhibition. So when enemies fail a saving throw, which should hopefully happen quite often, they get mental fatigue. So they've got -1 saving throws to the mental stats, Wisdom, Intelligence, and Charisma, which helps not only your future spells, but probably your allies' future spells. Importantly, I really want to lower the Wisdom saving throws, so someone like Shadowheart can go and cast Hold Person on everyone. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to get Will here to use Phalar Alluve, or was it Phalar Alluve? I don't really know. The Shriek, this is well known, well documented. So when enemies take damage, they take an additional 1d4 thunder damage. They've also got a -1d4 penalty to the mental saving throws. Amazing. So if I wanted to cast Hold Person, I'm now very likely to make it work. Let's actually do that. Because actually the Hellfire Hand crossbow gives us Scorching Ray basically once per short rest for free. And actually it's cast at level 3 even, not even level 2. So if I was to cast this here, I'd get critical hits on all of them. And lastly, if you want to maximize damage, it's a good idea to have, where has it gone? Perilous Stakes. Enemies are now vulnerable to all damage. I'm going to take a speed potion. So now if I use Scorching Ray right here while they're held, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So because I set that all up, the critical hits and the vulnerability, you can only do that like once per long rest or short rest. It's not very often you can do this. They took loads and loads of damage. Importantly, I've got the +5 intelligence modifier here. Now they took lightning charge damage. This shouldn't be 4d6 really. This should... I don't really know where that's come from. I'm assuming it's come from the Shriek from Phalar Alluve, but that shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't be getting an extra... we should be getting 4d6 plus 2d8 plus 5. Right, none of that even comes from Shriek. This is way over the top. And we can see that it goes on and on and on, all that damage. You can imagine doing this on a boss and just deleting them, pretty much. I'm going to reload and show you something else. So we're not always going to be able to have someone who is held and vulnerable to all damage. So let's say that hasn't happened, but we've still got Fatal Aloof. That's much more likely we're going to have that going. And even so, we can see here the extra thunder damage from the Shriek is 3 from 1d4. Okay, +1. I don't know where that's come from. I guess it's to do with Magic Missile. It's added an extra +1 to this damage as well. Plus the gloves that are supposed to deal 1d8 damage from an attack roll. The Spellmite gloves, that hasn't happened because I haven't had I haven't rolled an attack roll, so that shouldn't happen. And we get +5 from the intelligence modifier also. So currently, I don't know whether this is bugged or intended. Evocation wizards get to add their intelligence modifier to many sources of damage. So these guys don't really stand much of a chance. Since we're talking about Evocation wizards, this here is a unique evocation spell available in Baldur's Gate 3, not 5th edition. There's only one scroll of this in the whole game, and it comes from a vault in Sorcerer's Sundries when you read a book called The Red Knight's Final Stratagem, and it's pretty much Magic Missile on steroids. So you can cast it once per short rest, it takes a level 5 spell slot, and it works much the same as Magic Missile, but it just deals way more damage. Yeah, 5, why not 6? I do also have Cull the Weak on Gale. He's filled it with tadpoles. And yeah, we just deleted 3 people there. Some of them were already hurt, but you know, it's quite a lot of damage. So each missile does 2d6 plus 6 damage instead of 1d4 plus 1. Plus we've got Spellmite going and the intelligence modifier. And Cull the Weak stacks with some of the stuff and Fatal Aloof. I don't want to make this video all about how to kind of exploit might be the wrong word, but I think in a positive way, exploit the mechanics for spells such as Magic Missile and Artistry of War. But needless to say, Evocation wizards do the best with these builds because they get to add the extra +5 to every single ray or missile or whatever you want to call it. I do also want to point out some of the other high level evocation spells. There are quite a few. We've got Freezing Sphere here, Wall of Ice, Sunbeam, Cone of Cold, Ice Storm, Wall of Fire, Lightning Bolt. Well, that's not so high level anymore, but Lightning Bolt, Fireball, Shatter, all very good. We also have Chain Lightning, though that never affects allies anyway, but this should just delete everybody pretty much. I'm going to change Kreska's favorite into Bone Shaking Thunder. Now I do have to start a fight first because any AoE here won't affect the enemies because they are actually not enemies, they're friendly. Start with Magic Missile. Now Gale here does get to go in the first round, and this time let's use Sunbeam. So we did 68 damage, +4, +5, not bad at all. I'm going to go back to Bolts of Doom. So I can cast Chain Lightning, but before I do that, I'm going to do the good old, let's just create some water. And let's go. And then I can cast Lightning Bolt. Try and get rid of as many of these people as possible. I should go for one of the elementals at the same time as the wizard. And to finish off, I'm going to finish with a classic fireball. Why not? Level 6. Nice explosive finish there. Now, some of these were vulnerable to fire damage, so we're heading up to the 70s and 80s in terms of damage, but you can't always expect that to happen. Look at that, 110. Not bad at all. Anyway, let me know what you think of Evocation Wizards and what your favorite sets of equipment are, because there are many videos out there showing off builds based around Magic Missile, for example. So have you followed one of those, or do you prefer something a bit different? Thank you very much for watching, and to the members of my channel, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.